What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Classic Octane and the Barn to Brat project. I'm Taylor. Today I'm going to be doing two things. Might be a little bit shorter video, but I want to run through all of the parts I've bought for the bike so far, kind of why I bought them, where I got them from, so that you guys, if you want to kind of mimic this build or need to get some parts, you can kind of know where to go and where I get mine. I also want to go ahead and pull the carbs back off, replace those intake boots, and go ahead and rejet them and get them ready for pod filters and kind of the next step of the build. Let's do it. Let's start going through these parts. I'm just going to go kind of one by one, show you the part I got, tell you why I picked that particular one, if there's any significant reason, and then tell you where I got it from. So basically what I'm going to start off now with is the parts that I ordered from Amazon. And so I'm going to throw a link down below. There's going to be a couple of links in the description of this video. The top one's going to be my Amazon affiliate link. So what that means is it's all of the parts, tools, anything I buy off of Amazon and use, I put into that link, so that if you guys go out and buy it, it doesn't cost you any more money, but it does give me some credit for it, and it's a way to kind of help support the channel without actually having to pay any money yourself. Basically, they just pay you know, a little bit of a commission for me sending you guys that way. So all of this stuff I did pay full price for, my own money. None of it's sponsored, not yet at least, hopefully someday, but it is all normal full price stuff. I bought it because I wanted it. Like I said, there was nobody encouraging me to buy one or the other. So first thing I got off there was a battery. So this is a, I think it's pronounced Shorai, S-H-O-R-A-I battery. This is a lithium ion battery, very similar to the anti-gravities. I have an anti-gravity 4-cell in my Triumph. I wanted something with a little bit more power for this bike because I do intend on keeping the electric start. And this is fully capable of that. So it's a normal 12-volt battery. This is 210 cold cranking amps, which means it's going to have enough juice, like I said, to use that electric start. But overall, it is still very, very small. So I'm thinking it's like 4.5 inches maybe. Here, let me grab a measuring tape. Yeah, it is about 4.5 by 2.5, and it's 3.5 inches wide. So still very, very small. It's going to fit real nice under our seat in our little battery box. Next thing I got off of Amazon were these carb intake boots. If you watched my other video, one of these on my bike was completely destroyed, so I actually just got a full set of 4 just off of Amazon. Like I said, just kind of a random vendor. It was a good price. They seem to be in pretty good condition, so we'll see how they fit later today, but so far so good. So 4 intake boots. I got this new voltage regulator rectifier. I bought this off of Amazon, but it was actually through the company that I got the rest of my parts from. For whatever reason, it was like $10 cheaper on Amazon for the exact same thing. So this is a, like I said, modern voltage regulator rectifier that is a direct plug and play into the Honda CB550s. I believe it can do the 500, let's see, can do 350, 400, 500, 550, and 750. So pretty much any classic Honda you're going to be working on, this will work for. It'll replace the old one, gives a lot more steady voltage output. It's better for modern lithium-ion batteries. Like I said, it's plug and play. So literally plug this in one side, and then it's got 3 pigtails for the voltage regulator or rectifier, whichever one these is. So should be super easy to install, and seems like really good quality. So again, I got that on Amazon as well. So the rest of these parts I got onto a website I really like that's called 4into1.com. Number 4, I-N-T-O, number 1.com. Again, not a sponsor, just a website that I've bought quite a few parts through and had really good luck. So we have a new drive chain, I should say, because one is all rusty and old and stretched out. That's on there now, so it's a good idea to replace that. I got a new oil filter, a little carb sealing gasket. So if you remember on the carb video, one of these was ripped. So these go on the bowls on the bottom of the carb. So when we put the new jets in, we will make sure to put those in as well. Speaking of jets, I got my jets from 4into1.com. So these are the jets I like to run when I do a 4-into-1 exhaust and open, pod style filters. These are 110 main jets. I get this question at least once a day of what kind of jets I like to use. I've built, like I said, about 4 CB550s using 110 jets in the mains, everything else stock, and I've had a really good luck here, at least in my altitude and air density here in Texas. They treated me well. So this is what we're going to run with on this bike, and you guys can wait and see if this one's any different, but I trust it'll be the same. We'll install these later today. I got 4 of these foam pod filters. So these are from 4-into-1. I believe they're kind of their universal filters. The reason I went with these is kind of twofold. One is that I like all black. I didn't want any real shiny chrome since the rest of the bike is kind of dull and kind of a little more rustic looking, I should say. I didn't want a nice shiny chrome filter on there. 2, on the CB550s, the frame clearance from the end of the carburetor to one of the actual support frame sections is only like 4 inches, if that. So you can't have a real longer cone style filter. You have to get one of these kind of smaller filters. So these are from 4-into-1. I'll make sure all the part numbers and everything are in the description, but like I said, pretty good quality from what I can tell. Very similar to the UNI filters that I've run in the past. So pretty happy with those. For NGK spark plugs, 4 new exhaust gaskets, the little copper rings that crush in there. Here is my new electronic ignition. So this one is from PAMCO, P-A-M-C-O. I haven't actually used one of these before. I've had some success in the past with the Dyna S ignition. But for this build, I wanted to try something different. I'll be the guinea pig for you guys to be able to tell if this one works or not. It's like $10 cheaper, which really doesn't make all that much of a difference. So I figured, why not? If we have a new build, let's try out some new parts. So I went with the PAMCO electronic ignition. Stay tuned on if it works well or not. I have all new, I'm not exactly sure what these are called, exhaust keepers. These things right here that basically go in the little flanges and kind of seat up for the exhaust. These were really rusty, so I went ahead and picked up a whole set of brand new ones, original OE Honda parts. Really good quality, of course, because they're OE. The next part, of course, is my Tough Side seat. So again, this is from Tough Side, T-U-F-F-S-I-D-E. I mentioned this in the last video if you guys didn't watch that one. Really good quality seats. I've had 4 or 5 of them now. A little bit under 300 bucks, but like I said, really good quality leather. This is the distressed brown with the saddle stitching. Fits the curve of the CB550 frame perfectly, fits into the frame hoop really nicely, and I have no complaints whatsoever when it comes to these seats. Really comfortable to ride on too. Next part I'm going to talk about is going to be the frame hoop. So I don't really buy these from any one particular spot. Basically what I do is I look on eBay for one that's the right specs. Then I just find the cheapest one. Normally I find them anywhere from 30, 35 bucks shipped. I was going to buy a tubing bender and start to make my own, but $30 shipped, it's going to take 20 of these things to pay off buying the tubing bender, so I haven't been able to justify it yet. But basically, for a CB550, what you're looking for is 1-inch diameter tube with a center-to-center distance of 8 inches. And then an overall length of, depending on what kind of seat you're running, if you're running this exact seat, somewhere around 9 inches. Really kind of varies, like I said. You may have a short stubby one, you may have some longer. It just really depends on the seat you want. So I would just try to shoot for one that's a minimum of 9 inches long from here to the end of the tubes. So again, 8 inches across, 9 inches long, 1-inch tubing, and then it should fit up just fine. You can find these with little kinks to kind of make it a little more upswept if you're looking for that kind of seat style. So you can really find a bunch of different ones. Like I said, eBay, just search, CB550 frame hoop, turn around, make sure it has those dimensions, and then you should be good to go. I mean, they're all pretty standard. Most of the time, you know, it's a good enough quality. It's pretty much mild steel. You don't really have to, you know, go too crazy. Wall thickness is somewhat important, but you can just kind of check it out. I would say probably 120 wall, but I don't even remember what this one was exactly. So that's what you're looking for when it comes to frame hoops. Nothing super special. For the materials for my battery box, I'll cover this again when I actually build it, but I normally go with like 16 gauge sheet metal. That's a good enough thickness to give you some really solid support, but the box also isn't going to weigh 25 pounds when it's done. So like I said, 16 gauge works well. You might be able to get away with like 18 gauge, depending on how you're wanting to bend it and cut it. But since I kind of cut mine into pieces and weld it, a little bit thicker metal is easier to weld. So I typically stick with 16 gauge. So that's the parts that I have right now for this build. I still need to figure out exactly what I want to do for exhaust. I still want to figure out what I need to do with tires. So I have the tires I want kind of picked out. I just need to verify the sizes and make sure I'm going to kind of stick with this rim size. I'm 99% sure I am, because I want to keep this build relatively simple. So I'm going to go ahead and get those tires ordered. A few kind of variables, like I was going to say, is you might swap out the handlebars for something else. Either 7/8 handlebars. You can run pretty much any one off the shelf, so you can go with motocross style bars. You can get like 30, I believe CB550s are 35 millimeter forks if you want to do clip-ons. You can do clubman style bars. I mean, there's a million different kinds of handlebars. So I normally do the same thing and just kind of either buy those off of eBay and just try to find a reputable seller. Ideally some kind of name brand. You don't really want to cheap out on handlebars if it's something you're gonna, you know, potentially snap or bend or something when you're going on the highway or over some bumps. That's never a good idea. For speedometers, I decided I'm actually going to keep the stock, at least the stock speedometer. I may keep both on this bike because of the green faces. So the green faces on these dials are pretty awesome, and they really are close to the green of the tank, which I am totally keeping the patina of this tank. Those of you who are telling me you love it and to not touch it, that's exactly the plan. I literally bought this bike and mostly in part due to the patina on this gas tank, because I love it so much. So I am going to keep the stock green. Like I said, I may actually just condense this down to just the Speedo, but we'll see. We'll see how it looks whenever we get a little bit further down the road. I'm probably also going to keep the stock headlight for now. I just want to kind of see what it looks like when the bike's totally done, and then if it looks out of place, I can worry about messing with it. But we are trying to stick to that strict $2,500 total budget for this build. Got the carbs back on. Everything's great. Those carb boots worked out perfect. I'm very happy with the quality of them so far. So that's going to do it for this video. I know we didn't get a whole heck of a lot done, but hopefully you guys learned something about rejetting carbs or the parts I used or whatever. We'll be back to maybe a little bit longer video next week. It's currently Easter, so got to clean up and go get ready for dinner. So make sure to check out my Instagram at Classic Octane for some kind of behind the scenes stuff. ClassicOctane.com for shirts and stickers. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Throw a thumbs up on the video if you liked it, and see you guys next week.